Alright guys, I got my parts in on this 190XT transmission. I got my gears and everything I need to put this thing back together, so we'll start reassembly. You're looking inside the transmission housing. I got the lower shaft still in. Everything in it was still fine. I didn't need to replace anything there, but I did have a bad reverse sliding gear, and this is my new one, so I'm going to be putting that back in. And just to show you the difference, you can see how that's rounded off, and then this one's obviously new, so replacing that using some Lucas synthetic to lube up my parts as I install them. So we'll just put some lube in here, get that all worked in there real nicely. I'll slide this in. So as you can see, one of your shift collars actually fit in here, and that'll slide that gear into reverse. This is true reverse gear right here. So once this gets moved over, then you're actually in reverse. So it'll hang out right there most of the time. On the back side here, to hold that shaft I was moving around, is a little retainer. I'll slide that in here. You won't be able to see anything. It's on the back side here. Alright, I got that in. I'll tighten it up here in a second, but you can, if you can see that, here's the thread part of the bolt I'm putting in. So there's just a little clip that holds that shaft from sliding in and out. Once I get this thing tightened up here, that thing will stay put. Alright, so we got that done. Our next step's going to be this main input shaft. So the main input shaft is right here, and I've got to slide that in from the rear end side. That's why these are so difficult and labor intensive, is because you have to pull the rear differential out of it, and the pinion and ring gears, all that, in order to get this shaft right here out, just to replace those gears. So alright, change my view. You're looking inside the front of the torque housing. This is where your power director clutch is actually sitting, and here will be your transmission gears, which I'm getting ready to slide back in here. I went ahead and done a little bit of pre-assembly on here. There's a split ring in here and a sleeve collar, and I've also got this retainer right here that will be sliding in from the rear end. It's actually not a retainer, it's first gear bushing. Slide this in here very carefully. We'll have to slide everything in as we go. Try to keep everything from falling out. So I've got a manual here that I got from GenSales.com. They got excellent manuals. It's got step-by-step instructions on how to do this, so I'll kind of be referencing that as we put this thing back together. So I've, like I said, I did some pre-assembly. So next step, we've got this first gear bushing installed. Then next is going to be our spline collar, along with a sliding gear, and that sliding gear is actually first speed gear, it looks like. So there's the sliding gear. Here's my first. Hold the back side here, we'll get first slid in. Just let it set there. I'll have to slide all these on and then we'll push it through from the back there. So we've got 16, which is our splined collar. That's going to go on next. And over the splined collar is a sliding gear, and this gear is also one of those that I had to replace. It was all worn off right on the edges here all the way around. It's pretty bad shape. And looks like the shift collar part right here goes towards the rear of the tractor. Slide over that spline collar, what I put in just a second ago, like that. All those kind of locked together. All right. Now it looks like we've got another bushing, gear bushing. That's for second gear. So we'll slide it and second gear together. Which is this assembly here, and there's the bushing. All this was fine. So the bushing, actually, you can see these little spots right here for these retainer pins. That goes this direction, and this part of it goes to the rear of the tractor. Put some lube on here. Made a lot of difference there. Our second gear and the shift edge here that links up is in the go towards the rear like this. Alright. Then after that we've got a thrust washer. And after the thrust washer is our third speed gear, which I also replaced. It's actually a whole unit I'm just going to slide together. Inside the third gear is this coupler and a collar with a bushing on it. So that slides, it's actually inside, fits inside there like that. Just going to slide that together as a unit. So the collar with bushing should be facing towards the front of the tractor, like so. And we'll slide this collar on here, shift collar. We'll slide this whole shaft up and towards the front here so we can get this thing in place. Alright, I feel like the shaft has started in back here. Yep, it has. So what I'm going to have to do now, we'll get the camera set up at a different angle, and we're going to get that shaft driven in. There's a few more parts, but here's what we've got. Got them assembled in there, and there's the back side. So I'm just going to drive this in very carefully and watch everything as it's coming together here. But the manual's showing using an OTC pusher puller to remove and install this shaft. When I took it out, I didn't really have to hit too hard from this front side right here, and it slid right out of there. So I'm hoping I'll have the same result on the install here. Kind of got everything lubed up back underneath here, so I'm hoping that just slide right in. But as all this goes, I've got to make sure that I don't get anything in a bind up here. So it's sliding in fairly decent. I'm going to check my gear alignment. Make sure I don't have anything getting in a bind here as we move forward. Thing looks pretty good. This, there we go. A little bit more, we'll be able to get that where it needs to be. There's a collar in there it sits on. Keep things moving to the back as we get this thing in here. Okay, everything's looking fine. Nothing's in a bind. So I'm driving right here, the whole shaft forward, carefully. So have to access this through the rear end. Sliding in fairly easily. So just want to make sure that everything up here is working. Going where it needs to go. Feel like everything's pretty good shape. Yep. Alright, keep sliding it forward. Kind of somewhat solid there, so I'm going to do some adjusting. Just got to get over this one little collar back here. So that's fine, there's neutral. There's what I was needing. Keep on driving. Right within about a 1/4 inch or less of where I need to be. Everything's good shape. Alright, perfect. So there's all of our gears assembled, and right up here on the front, you can see right here there's a snap ring that's going to go in there, and it's about perfect right where it needs to go. So everything assembled. On the back side here there's a cap that goes on there, bolts up, holds that pinion shaft in place. And then on the front side here we've got the power director seal, and if you look in there, this is looking through the rear of the housing. There's the shaft, and then there'll be a retainer that bolts up there, and the down left of the retainer, about right there, is that shaft that holds on that rear sliding gear that I put on first. So I still got to tighten down my my bolt right there, and gotta see what my torque specs are. Get that done, and my training will be back together. That hole you're seeing right there is the Pto shaft. We'll go through that. I got new bearings and seals. There are actually 2 sets of seals up there, and that's important. Those are sealed up good because the hydraulic reservoirs on the front side of that, and back here will be your gear oil. So you want to get those seals replaced, or you end up having gear and hydraulic oil mix. I think a lot of guys now are just running this hydraulic trans oil together, which eliminates having 2 different kinds of oil back here. Alright, I got the transmission cover put back on the tractor. I went ahead and done that before I put in the transmission input shaft because I wanted to be able to make sure that I got reverse lined up, so it's down in the back corner there. And so it's down in there. I don't know if you can see it. It's right back in there. So I wanted to make sure that I got that installed correctly and I could see it. So I left this input shaft off. Thanks for watching. That's going to conclude the transmission assembly. The next video that builds right off of this will be the input shaft installation, and then I've already got another one that's posted that's the power director. So if you keep watching, you'll see the complete restoration project. Please hit like and subscribe and leave a comment below. And make sure you turn on your notification bell so that each time a new video is posted, you'll be notified.